If you're someone who edits footage that's based on a script, like commercials, YouTube videos or films, the new IntelliScript feature in DaVinci Resolve 20 might just be your new best friend. This feature will create an initial rough cut for you based on what's being said in the video files and the script file that you give it. It will even recognize if there's multiple takes of the same bit of the script and give you the option to choose the best one. Let me show you two examples that can really speed up your workflow. If we have a look at this first clip, the feature will create an initial rough cut for you based on what's being. This is the clip that you saw in the introduction to this video. Here I'm just talking to the camera, which has got a teleprompter on it, and because I'm reading from a known script, I can then use that in DaVinci Resolve. Right click on the clip, come down to AI Tools and choose Create New Timeline using IntelliScript. When I click on that, it's going to ask me to give it a script file. And if I just open this up, this is a script I used in the introduction. Select your script file and click open, and now DaVinci Resolve is going to analyze the clip. It's going to transcribe the audio so it can recognize the words, and it's going to match that up with the words in the script file that we just gave it. Just going to delete these empty tracks to make things easier. And what we've got now is a rough cut based on that script. On video track 1 and audio track 1, DaVinci Resolve is going to tell us what it thinks is the best takes for that script. If you're someone who edits footage that's based on... So this is only a rough cut, and you can see that in that jump there, your new best friend. This feature, you can quickly fix that up, which I'll show you in a second. When I was recording this, I repeated a number of lines in the script just so I could try out different pronunciations or different emotions in each line of the script. And because of that, DaVinci Resolve has given us these grayed out or disabled clips. And each one of these clips usually lines up to a different version. So let's take this introduction. If you're someone who edits footage that's based on a script, that's the introduction, but we could actually try out this second version. To do that, I'm going to click on it and hit D on the keyboard and click on the original version and click D to disable it. If you're someone who edits footage that's based on a script, like commercial, so that gives you a really quick way of seeing which take or which version of a part of the script you like the sound of best. Once you've chosen the one that you want, you can just drag it down onto the main line if you want to. Feature in DaVinci Resolve. This feature will... So you see there how it's been a little bit aggressive when it does the cuts, but we can really quickly fix that up by either clicking this button here or hitting T on the keyboard to change to trim edit mode, and then just position your cursor and drag it out. Best friend. This feature, we could switch back to the pointer tool and then we could audition this take. This feature will create an initial rough cut for you. And you can see there how that was actually a mistake. So we're not going to want to use that. We can trim that off. This feature will create an initial rough cut for you based on what's being said in the video files and the script file that you give it. So you could go through that timeline, choose the takes that you like the sound of the best, and then just trim up the start and ends of those clips to get everything sounding exactly how you wanted. And that's exactly what I did in the introduction to this video. So the second use case is when you've got multiple clips, because this process will also work not just on a single clip, but if you've got multiple clips for different parts of a scene. So I'll show you the result in a second, but this is a little skit I just created, and it's got two characters, Dave and me. If we come back to DaVinci Resolve and open up Dave's takes, this is just Dave reading the lines from the script.
DaVinci Resolve 20 is rubbish because I don't know how to use it. DaVinci Resolve 20 is rubbish because I don't know how to use it.
So you can see there we've got multiple takes again of the same lines in this paper script. If we open up the other version, this is the lines for the Jason character, which is me.
Tried watching some YouTube tutorials. Wow, Dave, you really are a neg.
So let's go and use the script that I used to record these two clips and watch how DaVinci Resolve IntelliScript can actually assemble the rough cut for us for these two characters. This time we're going to select both of these clips. Again, right click, AI Tools, Create New Timeline using IntelliScript. And this time we're going to go and open up this subscribe skit. First thing to notice here is I've actually got the two character names. DaVinci Resolve is not actually going to use these. It's only going to match up the words that are spoken to the script. Select that, choose open, let DaVinci Resolve do its thing, and I'll just make a bit of space here. And this time you can see we've actually got multiple takes for each thing. We've got these 2 extra takes, and as before, DaVinci Resolve is going to put what it thinks are the best takes on the video and audio one. So let's just take a listen to this all the way through, because I want you to see how it actually fits together.
DaVinci Resolve 20 is rubbish because I don't know how to use it.
Have you tried watching some YouTube tutorials?
All YouTube videos are rubbish.
Wow, Dave, you really are a negative person, you know.
So, prove me wrong then.
There's loads of great channels like Mr. Alex Tech.
Okay, I'll try some tutorials.
You should also subscribe to my channel. It's called DaVinci Dojo.
So once again, it's been a little bit aggressive with how short it's cut some of those things, but we can really go and quickly fix that up. First off, let's just audition maybe this second version. Hit D, hit D.
DaVinci Resolve 20 is rubbish because I don't know how to use it.
Let's keep that one.
All YouTube videos are rubbish. All YouTube videos are rubbish.
Wow.
Okay, so we'll take that one. We'll take that one.
So, prove me wrong then. So, prove me wrong. Okay, I'll try some. Okay, I'll try some.
You should also...
And you can see there how in the delivery of those 2 pieces, one of the deliveries was a bit longer. So DaVinci Resolve doesn't quite line up the starts and the ends yet, but I'm sure this tool will get so much better over time as well. But even this saves a massive amount of time. As before, we'll open up the trim edit tool, we'll fix this up. You can see how super quick that was just to get that rough cut into a cut that we could probably actually just use straight away. We could go and add some J&L cuts to make things even better. Just holding down Alt, dragging this across.
How to use it.
Have you tried watching some YouTube tutorials?
All YouTube,
You know.
so wrong.
There's loads of great channels. Tech.
Okay, I'll try some tutorials.
And here's what the final version looks like.
DaVinci Resolve 20 is rubbish because I don't know how to use it.
Have you tried watching some YouTube tutorials?
All YouTube videos are rubbish.
Wow, Dave, you really are a negative person, you know.
So, prove me wrong.
There's loads of great channels like Mr. Alex Tech.
Okay, I'll try some tutorials.
You should also subscribe to my channel. It's called DaVinci Dojo.
I'm interested to hear your thoughts about this new feature, so write a comment and subscribe now for more great DaVinci Resolve tutorials. DaVinci Resolve 20 makes editing to the beat of the music so much easier. Once you've got your clips on the timeline, go and grab some music. I'm using the Epidemic Sound DaVinci Resolve plugin for this. I'm going to drag this music track down onto the timeline. If you want a free trial of Epidemic Sound, check out the first link in the description. We'll find a good place for that to start. Nice bit of synthwave here. Once you've got your music, right click on the music track and choose Show Music Beats. DaVinci Resolve is going to analyze the music and locate the beats. Now this works best with music that actually has distinct beats, and currently in this version it only works with 4/4 or 3/4 time music. If we zoom in, you can see we've got these little lines showing us the beats of the music. Make sure that you've got snapping turned on by clicking the little magnet here. You can also toggle this on and off with N on the keyboard, and then just start lining up your clips to the music. And you can see as I'm moving this clip around, you get this little arrow, and this is telling us that it's snapping to the beat of the music. And this is what it looks like. Yes, the lighting looks terrible. That's because I'm recording in my home, in my bedroom. And one common problem that you might find is that if you're recording in different locations, even if you're using the same microphone, I'm using DJI Mic 2 here, when you come to the edit, those different locations actually sound different. And that's because of various factors, like different rooms have different amounts of echo or reverb and different amounts of overall tone. And this is what it sounds like when I'm recording in my bathroom at home. You can hear there's a lot more reverb in this location. And this is what it sounds like in this end of the studio where I make all of my videos. And this is what it sounds like when I'm sitting at my main desk when I'm filming myself making DaVinci Resolve tutorials. So here's all the clips that you just listened to, and you could hear that even though we were using the same microphone, the DJI Mic 2, each room sounded a bit different. Let's go and use DaVinci Resolve 20's new dialogue matcher to see if we can make each of these clips sound the same so that when we switch between the clips, things don't sound too unnatural and too jarring. The first thing we need to do is select a clip that we want to use as a reference to try and make all of the other clips sound like. In this case, this is what it sounds like when I'm sitting at my main. I'm going to choose this clip of me sitting at my desk because it's the cleanest in terms of echo and room tone. Once you've chosen your reference clip, come up to the clip menu, come down to AI Tools, choose Dialogue Matcher, and then choose Capture Dialogue Profile. This is going to tell DaVinci Resolve to analyze this clip and set it as a clip that we want to match to. We don't get any message box telling us that it's actually done it, but if you come back up to the clip menu, come back to AI Tools and Dialogue Matcher, you can see we've got a new option now, Apply Dialogue Profile. Now we don't want to apply this to the same clip because that's what we just generated the profile from. Let's go and try and fix this first clip and match it to the reference clip. I'm going to click on the clip, come back up to the clip menu, back down to AI Tools, Dialogue Matcher, and then choose Apply Dialogue Profile. We do get a little indication that something's happening here because we get this little FX icon. Let's take a listen. Yes, the lighting looks terrible. That's because I'm recording in my home, in my bedroom, and let's compare this to the reference. And this is what it sounds like when I'm sitting at my main desk. Yes, the lighting looks terrible. That's because I'm recording. To remove a dialogue matcher profile, select the clip, come back to the clip menu, AI Tools, Dialogue Matcher. To remove the profile, you can click this, or if you just want to disable that profile, you can click that. Duplicate this first part of this clip. This first part, I'm going to come to AI Tools and I'm going to remove the applied profile completely, and the little FX disappears from the bottom. And for this second clip, we'll just double check that it's enabled, which it isn't, so we'll click enable, and let's have a listen to these two clips. Yes, the lighting looks terrible. That's because I'm recording in my home, Yes, the lighting looks terrible. That's because I'm recording in my home. Let's give the dialogue matcher a more difficult problem. Listen to this. And this is what it sounds like when I'm recording in my bathroom. You can see how much reverb there is there. And to get this to sound like this, and this is what it sounds like, is going to be a pretty tough task. So once again, we'll just select the clip, AI Tools, Apply Dialogue Profile, and let's have a listen now. This is what it sounds like when I'm recording in my bathroom. So you can hear there that the AI Dialogue Matcher is not able to completely remove all of that reverb from that heavily reverb clip in the bathroom. If you do want a tool that can make your bathroom sound less reverby, and also other places of course, you can check out the first link in the description to check out the de-reverb plugin that I recommend. Okay, let's try a more subtle version now, these two ends of my studio. And this is what it sounds like in this end of the studio where I make all of my videos. And this is what it sounds like when I'm sitting at my main desk when I'm filming myself making. So the bigger the difference between the reference clip and the clips we're trying to fix, the more it's going to struggle, especially when you've got a massive amount of reverb in one of those clips like you just heard there. But for subtle changes in recording location, I think this tool could be useful, and I think it's going to get much better in future versions. So you found the perfect music for your edit, but it's not quite the right length for what you want. DaVinci Resolve 20 makes this super easy to fix with the AI music editor. I'm going to show you how it works, some situations where it might not work, and a sneaky little bonus tip to fine-tune your music. Here's the video clips that we want to add music to. If I use Shift-Z to zoom out, you can see the music track here is way too long for that number of clips. Make sure the clip's selected and come up to the top right and open up the inspector. And then scroll down until you see the AI music editor section. There's a couple of different ways you can use this AI music editor. You can give it a specific fixed length of music, or you can do it in a more intuitive way. Let me show you the first way. So let's say we wanted this music to finish at the end here. This is 28 seconds and 21 frames. So what we can do in this section up here is we can type 28 seconds and 21 frames and then click adjust. DaVinci Resolve is going to analyze the music clip and try and work out the best way of cutting it up and fitting it to the desired length. You can see here that it's ended a little bit after that to allow for a bit of a fade out in the music track. I'm going to undo that with Control Z on the keyboard, and instead of specifying a target length, instead I'm going to tick the live trim checkbox. I'm going to come down here and we can see this little icon, and I'm going to drag this time the music to the length that I want. Let go of the mouse button. DaVinci Resolve will analyze the music as it did before, and once again trim it to that length. We can see that we've got this icon at the bottom left of the clip telling us that the AI music editor is active. And you can see these vertical squiggly lines are where the AI music editor has tried to cut and paste together different parts of the song to make it fit. Let's have a listen to that. That's a pretty good mix there. What about this second mix? You can hear in that one there was a definite change, but I quite like it even though it is a bit jarring. Luckily, when you use this, you get 4 different versions created for you. You can switch between the different versions using these buttons. Watch what happens when I change to version 2. Those vertical squiggly lines change position because this is a different mix now. We've got version 3 and also version 4. So you can quickly audition these 4 different versions, find the one you want, and I quite like that one there. It's a nice smooth cut. If you decide that you actually don't want to use the AI music editor anymore and you want to do it yourself, click on the music clip, come up to the inspector and click this button here to reset the AI music editor section, and this will take us back to the original clip. If you have used the AI music editor and you've chosen one of the versions that you like, if you want to get to the underlying music clip, you can right click, come up here, choose decompose in place, choose using clips only, and then it will actually give you the cuts in the underlying audio file. You can zoom in here and see exactly what it's done. It's added a crossfade before this cut to make that smoother, and then you could go and tweak these cuts if you wanted to. All right, I've got that sneaky bonus tip for you in just a second, but I just wanted to cover some of the limitations of this tool so you're aware of them and potentially what to do to fix them. The first limitation to be aware of is this tool is for beat-driven music. Think pop music, think dance music, think rap music. It's not really designed for more free-flowing, formless music like ambient, for example. Sometimes if you're starting off with a long piece of music and you're using the AI music editor to shrink it down, you might find that you get some more jump-like cuts, more noticeable cuts, especially if the start of the song has a build-up or a long fade in. If you try and trim the start of that music clip and then enable the music editor, it's actually going to bring that back in, that long intro. You can't actually use subclips for this because even if you use a subclip, it still brings back the portion before the start of that subclip. If you don't know what subclips are, don't worry about it for now. There is a solution, however, and let me show you what that is. First of all, I'll show you the problem. You can see this WAV file here has this long intro portion before it actually gets to the beat. So if I were to go and just trim the start of this like a normal clip just to get rid of that build up at the start, that's all well and good. But as soon as I add on the AI music editor, you can see it brings back that intro portion that we just removed. As a workaround for this, what you can do is take your original audio file, this is the music file, you can add that to a new timeline. I just called this timeline short music, and then export this as an audio only export. This is going to export a WAV file, and then just re-import that WAV file in with the shortened version. This is the same song, but with the front trimmed off and exported. And if we head back to our timeline, just delete that and import this this short music wave file. We don't have that intro section anymore. And this time, when we use the AI music editor, it's going to start right from the start without that intro. Alternatively, you might just want part of a song, and one of the ways to do that is to use something like the DaVinci Resolve Epidemic Sound plugin. Just choose part of a song that you like, drag out that section, and then just import that section to your timeline. Or find a section you like, right click, choose create versions, choose how long you want the version to be, choose if you want to make it loopable for something like a short or a reel, preview the loop. And if you like it, you can download that customized looped version and then drag that onto your timeline. Click the first link in the description after you watch this video to get your Epidemic Sound free trial. So here's that sneaky bonus tip. Switch over to the Fairlight page. Here's our music file. Right click, come to Elastic Wave and choose General Purpose, which is basically music. Zoom in to the end and fine tune where the end of that clip is going to appear. You should only do this for really teeny tiny changes because Elastic Wave will actually change the speed of the music playback. So I would only use it if you really just want a super fine control of exactly tiniest frame where that music's going to end. For most general purposes, you probably won't need to do this. DaVinci Resolve 20 lets you level up your subtitle game by adding the ability to create animated subtitle captions, just like what you're seeing on the screen right now. You can use these on long form videos or vertical videos like shorts or TikToks or reels to help improve audience engagement. Once you've got your clips on the timeline, come up to the timeline menu, come down to AI tools and choose create subtitles from audio. We get a few different options here. You can ask DaVinci Resolve to automatically detect the language, or you can specify it explicitly. You can choose a preset type of caption. We're going to leave this as subtitle default. We can choose the maximum number of characters we want on any line before it changes to the next set of subtitle words. You can choose whether you want a single line of text or a double line. We're going to leave this as single for the moment for maximum impact. And if you want to add an extra gap between each subtitle starting and finishing, you can add a number of frames here. I'm going to leave this as the default 0. Hit create. DaVinci Resolve is going to analyze the footage and create the transcription and the subtitles captions from it. And if we have a quick listen to this, DaVinci Resolve 20 lets you level up your subtitle game by adding the ability to create. So that's okay, but it's a bit boring. What you can do is click on the subtitle header down here and then open up the inspector, come over to track, and then you can change the color, the size, whether or not we have a stroke around the caption, so we can try and make it look a bit more interesting. 20 lets you level up your but it's still not super engaging. Let's pimp these captions by adding some animation. I'll go and close the media pool and then click here to open effects. Click on titles and then dig down into subtitles. If you want to make some more space, click here. We can use these static presets, so if we drag one of these subtitle designs onto the subtitle track header here and let go, we've now got a bit more interest. It's you level up your subtitle game, but DaVinci Resolve 20 added some extra things in this animated section. So let's go and try all of these in turn, just so you can see what they look like, and then I'll show you some customizations. We're dragging onto the subtitle header. This is the lollipop animation. DaVinci Resolve 20 lets you level up your subtitle game. This is the rotate design. DaVinci Resolve 20 lets you level up your... This is the slide in, create animated subtitle. This is the statement, like what you're seeing on the screen right now. I quite like that one. And then finally, we've got the word highlight animation. Vertical videos like shorts or TikToks, which is similar to the last one, but a bit more understated. I'm going to click on the subtitle track header down here and then go back to track. At the minute, we've got all of the words on screen and then individual words get highlighted. But if you want the words to be written on as they're spoken, you can tick write on words. You can use these on long form videos or vertical videos like which one of these animated styles do you like the best? Let me know in the comments. Let me show you some customizations. So we'll go and drag this statement animated subtitle effect. This is quite punchy and this probably works quite well on shorts or reels. First of all, decide whether you want to use write-on words or not. I'm going to leave that unticked for now. You can change the speed at which the animation happens. Let's make it super fast. Subtitle game by adding, and super slow. Subtitle game by adding the ability. I'm going to set it to the default. If you want to change what the red box is for the highlight, let's go and change the back color to match the branding for DaVinci Dojo. Maybe this is a bit too overblown, so maybe instead of extra bold italic, maybe we just have semi-bold italic. Can increase the font size, and this is what we get. You can use these on long form videos or vertical videos like so. That's the first level of customization, and that's the easiest, and you can get quite far with that. Let me show you the second method of customizing these animated subtitles. Click on the subtitle header and make sure you're on the track tab. Click this little button here, which is going to open up these subtitles in Fusion, and this is going to give you loads of control. Double click on this macro tool one and then click on template. Now you get access to all of these properties, and there's even more along here. So this is not a Fusion tutorial, so we could alter the positions. We can make these look a bit 3D, and you can go to town here, and this is what it looks like now. DaVinci Resolve 20 lets you level up your subtitle game. The smooth cut transition was around in older versions, but it's been given an upgrade in DaVinci Resolve 20. By the way, it's not just for hiding jump cuts. You can also use it to create these crazy morphing effects. So here's that intro clip you just saw. Older versions, and you can see now we need to add a cut here before I carry on, but it's been given, and so let's go and make a cut. I'm going to use Control B, and I come down here, use Shift Control left square brackets, and let's have a look at that now. Older versions, and you can see there's a bit of a jump there when we cut, hence the term jump cut. Let's go and add the smooth cut transition. I'm going to open up effects. We can open up this little sidebar, choose video transitions, and then grab the smooth cut transition and drag it onto the cut point. It's going to hit Control plus to zoom in, and now we can close the effects. If I open up the inspector and come over to the transitions tab, here we've got the smooth cut transition, and notice by default this speed warp tick box is checked, and this is new in DaVinci Resolve 20. This speed warp option is only available in the paid studio version. Let's take a look at that. Older versions, and you can see it's smoothing out that cut a little bit. Older versions, but I'm going to untick the speed warp button, and this is what it would have looked like before DaVinci Resolve 20. We'll just re-enable it, and I want to show you a few tips to get the most out of this transition. There's three main ways you can try and tweak this transition to make it look as good as possible. The first one is to hover over the actual transition and make it longer or shorter. Older versions, if you make it too long, watch what happens to my hands here. Older versions, you can see that it looks a bit unnatural now. Older versions, my hand kind of disappears and then reappears. And you can also make it very short versions, so just by changing the length of the transition, you can usually get a pretty good result. The other thing you can do is change the easing. So you can try all of these out. Let's just choose in and out for now. And the third thing you can do to fine tune this smooth cut is to actually change where the video files begin and end. If you hover over the cut, you can change the position of the actual cut between these two parts of this clip, or you can click here or hit T on the keyboard to turn on trim edit mode and then make things longer or shorter. And you can see when I do this, also moving the audio. If I make this too long, it's obviously going to sound a bit unnatural. The versions, so just play with those three things to get the effect looking perfect. Just be aware that this is not going to fix up a jump cut if you're in a completely different position like that one there. So just keep your body in roughly the same position if you make a mistake and you know you're going to need to redo it, and add a jump cut when you edit. Trying to get the volume of sound effects, music and people talking to all mix together in a really nice sounding way can take ages. Luckily, the new DaVinci Resolve 20 feature called AI Audio Assistant is really amazing and is going to save so much time. Before we jump into the demo, it's just important to note that every audio track needs to only contain one type of audio. There's basically 4 types of audio elements. You've got dialogue, which is a fancy name for people talking. You've got music, sound effects, and ambience. And ambience is like the background noise of a computer beeping. You can have multiple clips on each audio track, but all of those clips need to be of the same type. I want to start off by showing you this timeline, and we're just focusing on the audio side of things. We've got 2 dialogue tracks, a captain and an officer. We've got 3 sound effects tracks, 2 ambience tracks, and this music track. Now, I haven't mixed any of this together yet, and if I play this back, it's going to sound absolutely terrible. Everything is way too loud. You can't hear the dialogue. You can't hear what's going on. Things are overloaded. This sounds terrible. I want to show you a version of this that I've mixed together a couple of months ago manually. You can see I've done a few things here. We've trimmed some of the audio to get rid of noises. We've lowered this part of this specific dialogue because it was too loud. And if I switch over to the Fairlight page, we've done a lot of work in Fairlight. We've added some compression, some EQ. We've even got these additional mix buses. So all of this took quite a lot of time to do. Let me show you what this sounds like.
Captain, we have positive lock. Pressures equalized. Ready to open the hatch on your command.
Safety's off, everyone. When we enter the ship, set up standard defensive posture. Opening in 3, 2, 1. Go, go, go!
No sign of movement, Captain. Looks like backup power's working at least. No sign of a firefight, no blood.
So where is everyone?
So we could tweak that a little bit more. The point is, this took a lot of time just to get to this point. Let me show you next the amazing AI Audio Assistant. This is going to save me so much time. We're going to modify this version where we didn't have any mixing performed and it sounded terrible. The first thing you really want to do is right click on your timeline, come down here and choose duplicate timeline before you use the AI Audio Assistant. With the timeline open and all of your tracks and clips set up, notice here that we're not mixing sound effects and music on the dialogue for these tracks. We're not adding music to the sound effects tracks and so on. And to access this amazing AI tool, come up to the timeline menu, come down to AI tools and choose Audio Assistant. But I'm not going to click on that just yet because I want to show you a bit of a secret trick. Come over to the Fairlight page and we're going to go and tell DaVinci Resolve what kind of things are on these tracks. This is going to help the AI Audio Assistant do a better job. So I'm going to right click on the track header for Captain, come down to track category, and I'm going to choose dialogue because this is people talking. I'm going to do the same thing for this officer track, change the category to dialogue. You can do this for multiple tracks at the same time. Let's select all 3 sound effects tracks and change the category to sound effects, or SFX for short. We've got a couple of ambience tracks here. We're going to change their category to ambience. And finally, this single music track, we're going to set that track category to music. Now, you don't actually have to do this. You can just run the AI Audio Assistant right off the bat, but doing this just gives a few hints to the AI about what kind of audio information is on different tracks, and it hardly takes any time, as you just saw. We'll head back to the edit page, come back to the timeline menu, AI tools, and choose Audio Assistant. We need to select where we're going to be exporting and delivering this video to. And there's all of these presets here like Netflix and Disney. I'm going to choose YouTube and then hit Auto Mix. When I click this, you can see it's classifying the different types of music. It's working on mixing the dialogue. Next, it's going to try and mix the music in. After it's done that, it's going to try and mix in the sound effects and the ambience. And at the end, it's going to apply some final mastering and mixing techniques such as limiters. All right, let's take a look at this AI mixed version.
Captain, we have positive lock. Pressures equalized. Ready to open the hatch on your command.
Safety's off, everyone. When we enter the ship, set up standard defensive posture. Opening in 3, 2, 1. Go, go, go!
sign of movement, Captain. Looks like backup power's working at least. No sign of a firefight, no blood. So where is everyone?
That is pretty amazing for just a few clicks and a few seconds of processing. Obviously, this is not 100% perfect, but you could probably just use this as it is if you just wanted a quick edit, but you can now go back and tweak things just to get the exact mix that you want. I'll talk about some of the limitations in just a second, but let me show you how you can tweak a few of these things. At the end here, we've got a fade out.
No blood. So where is everyone?
I'll come back to that in a second because that's kind of to do with one of the limitations of this system. I personally don't think that these drone ambience sounds are quite loud enough. If I open up the mixer and expand this across, you can see that all of these faders have been changed. Everything's not too loud and overloaded now, and this is one of the things that the audio assistant does. But if we wanted to, we could increase the sound of these ambience tracks a little bit. That's one of the tweaks we could make, just so we can hear it a bit more in the mix. We could go and reduce the sound of some of these parts of the dialogue if we wanted to make it really whispery.
No sign of movement, Captain.
So what about some of the limitations of this AI audio assistant? Let me show you a few of them. If we come over to this Captain track, and I'm going to solo it, have a listen to this point here.
Defensive posture.
You can hear we've got that really nasty lip smacking sound. Have another listen.
Set up standard defensive posture.
So the AI audio assistant isn't going to do these micro edits to clean up the dialogue. We can do that pretty quickly ourselves by holding down Alt and adding a few points to the clip's volume line and dragging that down. And we can try and get rid of that lip smack.
Standard defensive posture.
Before I get into some of the other limitations, I just wanted to point out some of the cool things the AI has actually done here. If I click on the music track header and then open up the inspector, scroll down here, you can see that the audio assistant has enabled the ducker, and this is going to automatically reduce the sound of that music whenever the captain or the officer audio track has sound coming out of it. We could of course just enable this ourselves, but it's done it automatically for us, and it's recognized that the captain and officer tracks are dialogue tracks, and we're normally going to want to hear the dialogue over the music. Another thing it's done, if I come over to the Fairlight page, is you can see on this music track for the fader level, it's actually increasing the level of the music here, the value of the fader. That's why this fader is green, because the fader is being automated over time. If I just scroll through this, watch the fader, it goes up there and then back down there. I didn't add this automation. This was added by the AI audio assistant, which is pretty cool. While we're on the Fairlight page, let's take a look at some of the other limitations. If we have a look at the captain and officer tracks, if I open up the EQ, the audio assistant hasn't really done much to the EQ for the people talking. All it's really done is rolled off some of the lower frequencies. Everyone has different characteristics to their voices, and depending on the room they're in, depending on what microphone they're using, we can use EQ to really bring out the nice sounds in a person's voice and reduce some of the not so nice sounds in a person's voice. The AI audio assistant hasn't really done any work on the dialogue for the different people talking. But of course, we could go and use our own ears and our own skills to add that EQ into each of the dialogue tracks if we wanted to. Also, some bits are hard to understand exactly what's happening. Let me show you one of them. At the end of this edit, we have a little bit of a fade out. Have another listen.
No sign of a firefight, no blood. So where is everyone?
You can hear how the last bit of dialogue gets faded out, and also the music and the sound effects, or the ambience I should say. But if we come down to bus 1 and expand that down, choose the fader level, there's no automation on the fader level, and this is one of the things you would normally automate to add a global fade out. And I found this confusing for a little bit, but after having a little peek around in here, I noticed that we've now got this audio assistant category in Fairlight Automation. And if I choose AA level, you can see now this is where that fade is coming from. And I'm sure Blackmagic will be updating their DaVinci Resolve reference manual for version 20, and I'm sure that will include all of these details about what the audio assistant is going to do, and that will make things a lot clearer. So what do you think of this feature? Do you think the AI audio assistant did a pretty good job on that rough mix right from the start? I think it's pretty amazing myself. Let me know in the comments. One of the new features in DaVinci Resolve 20 is the AI voice convert feature. It might sound like a gimmick, but there are some real uses for this feature,
other than as a fun effect like this.
I'll get to those in a second, but first let me show you how it works. So here's that intro that you just saw. Let's go and replace this middle section with a different voice. Select the clip, right click and choose voice convert. For the track, choose where you want the new audio to be positioned. If you choose render in place, it's going to replace the audio on the same track that the source audio is from. If you have a specific track where you want it to go, you can choose that, or you can get DaVinci Resolve to add a new track. I'm going to do that. You can specify custom file names here. I'm not going to do that for the minute. And then you choose the voice that you want to create. By default, we get 2 female voices and 2 male voices. These are all United States voices. So let's go and replace my voice with male 1 US. This type matching to source tick box is checked by default. With this box ticked, the AI voice that's generated will really try and very tightly follow my voice, my intonation, my pitch and volume. If you want a looser version, you can untick this and play with different pitch variances. I'm going to leave this checked for now. And if you want to change the pitch of the generated voice, you can change it to be a high pitched or lower pitched voice. I'm going to leave that as the default for 0. Because we've chosen new track here, when I click render, it's going to generate the AI voice and it's automatically disabled the audio portion of this track. And this clip is the new AI generated voice. Let's have a listen. AI voice convert feature.
It might sound like a gimmick, but there are some real uses for this feature other than as a fun effect like this.
Let me show you what that pitch does now. I'm going to manually disable this by hitting D, re-enable that, choose voice convert again, and we'll max this out at +12, click render. It's going to add a new track and give us this new version at a higher pitch.
It might sound like a gimmick, but there are some real uses for this.
Which is clearly too much, but we could go somewhere a little less crazy, maybe +4. So this is what +4 sounds like.
It might sound like a gimmick, but there are some real uses for this feature.
So what are some of the potential uses for this new feature? You could go and record a voiceover using your own voice, but then later think maybe that doesn't sound great. If you're not a voice actor, it might not sound as good as it could. You could replace your voice with a great voiceover from an AI generated voice, one that sounds more dramatic, maybe deeper and more cinematic. You could use this to change the gender of your voice. Maybe you've done a voiceover for something, but then when you're playing it back, you kind of realize that maybe a female voice might fit the subject matter a bit better. Another use is if you've recorded yourself in a noisy environment, and while DaVinci Resolve has some great noise reduction tools, you might decide it's just not good enough. So what you could actually do is replace your own voice in that noisy environment with an AI version of your own voice to get rid of the noise. If you're making fun kind of comedy skits where you're playing multiple different characters, you could give each of those characters a different sounding voice. Or potentially in post-production for a big feature film, if you need to record a bit of extra dialogue, or maybe one of the audio takes was bad but the actor is no longer available, or maybe working on another film in another country, you could potentially, of course with their permission, you could generate an AI model from their voice just to fill in the gaps where that audio needs to be replaced or added to. Obviously, you should never copy someone else's voice without their permission. So at the minute you get 4 AI voices out of the box, but you can actually train your own custom AI voices right inside DaVinci Resolve. To do that, you need some source recordings of that person, and there's a few subtle requirements how you record that sample voice data. I'm going to show you how to do that in a future video, so if you want to, please subscribe so you don't miss it. I'm Jason Roberts, this is DaVinci Dojo, and I'll see you in the next one.